you're born and you're on Faulkner Street.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you in Faulkner Street?
Just a couple of years, and then we moved up to rented a house on Sturgis Street, 75 Sturgis, and that's where I had my my breadboard factory, my newspaper, my detective agency. I had all those things going as a kid, and
Okay, now you have a breadboard here. I mean, you got one of your.
no, I don't have one of mine.
I don't know.
The only one I know, Aunt Rose had one, and that got lost somehow in the thing. Mother had, everybody in a ration had one, and of course we sold them, at such a good price that when I got all done paying for the wages, I had Delbert Carlson, my one cousin, and Gordy working for me. There's three of us, and we had a paint shop, and we had a filing shop, and a saw shop, and Grandpa would buy the lumber at United Lumber. Well, the first batch he gave me, and it was a lot of yellow pine. And we sold them for about $1 a piece, and sold them just like that. Everybody wanted one in the breadboard. And then I told Dad I got to have more lumber. He says, "Well, have you got any money for him to go buy the lumber?" What was that? I forgot about that. I paid wages, I bought paint, and we had no money to buy more lumber. So that was the end of the lumber of the breadboard factory.
You're bankrupt.
But then we had our neighborhood newspaper.
Inventory control.
And I'd give anything to have an edition of that thing. And I'll bet you Marvy Johnson, who was in with me, maybe would have had it. And I tried to find him when we were in Denver here, this last thing, and could not locate the guy. So I have no recollection of or any copy of that newspaper we printed. But it was a neighborhood thing. We had, Elsie Shaw expecting a baby. Nate Dreyer, he advertised in it. Briggy's grocery store, we charged him so much. That was kind of fun. A detective agency, that was a fantasy. That was nothing that amounted to anything on that. But
What was your model?
Motto?
Model. Who did you
Model
model
after? Oh, I don't know that. No, way back then. But the gangsters were kind of heroes in those days too. That's a shame of it. I mean, not heroes as such, but you knew them. Bonnie and Clyde, Babyface Nelson, Al Capone. You knew all of these guys because it was so much in the press. And of course, I would draw caricatures of these guys, and then wanted, and I had a file. And that sort of stuff. And the dentist I went to then was Dr. Burton. I told him about my detective agency, and he said something about, "Well, what does your mother think?" And I said, "Well, she thinks I'm touched." And then I had Burt Raymond delivered a paper, morning paper.
That's the same Burt Raymond who was
the redhead, that did our out here. That's the guy, yeah. And he would tie the morning paper on a rope outside my window, and then when I'd wake up, I'd just pull the paper up. And I've been doing that. My dad came home from being gone for a couple of weeks. He's down to get the paper, and he come into my mother and says, "Where's the morning paper?" Because you check in Lyle's room. And I was sitting reading the paper. How? And he knew I didn't get up, and it made noise. And then I had to tell him what I had hanging on a rope and pulling it up in the morning. And Hank Campbell, next kid, and I, we had those SOS things between us. And we never could get that Morse code down right. So we'd stick our heads out the window and holler, I said this, I said that. And we could never read the Morse code, but we tried. It didn't work too good.
This was all on 75 Sturgis, huh?
Yeah, I went to Fox Street School, and 6 grades of that, and 7, I guess, because kindergarten, and through 6th grade. Then Washington Junior High, and I think about the second year in Washington Junior High, or maybe even the last one, we moved to around the corner, 356 Price Street. They were selling the house we were renting, and Mother was the neighborhood meant so much to, and now Peterson, or our Carlson family rather, were all North Siders. It's a funny thing how things happen, just like your mother were, almost their whole family was on the West Side. And where you seemed to locate, Rose and Rudy and Doc, everybody lived on the North Side. So when the house was sold out from under us, and Dad was going to move us somewhere else, she cried, I cried. I didn't want to leave school, let's not think of going anywhere but staying on that North Side. And Mother especially, because she loved the neighborhood and all her friends and relatives were there. So we bought a house right around the corner, and when we moved, we carried everything. We never even hired a truck, because Whitey and Doc and all of them, would come up and they carried the sofa and carried it right around the corner, and the refrigerator, we wheeled it up on a thing, we never used a truck or anything. Was that close, just to 356 Price Street.
So you stayed, that was your home right through?
That was my home through, till I got married, yeah.
You're a family of one.
That's right. There's a lot of them that way.
Why is that?
Depression. No question about it. They couldn't raise any more kids. I mean, in that whole neighborhood of ours, I could name you probably 5 families that had one child, and they couldn't afford it anymore.
Who was the disciplinarian in your family?
Oh, my mother. Oh, yeah. You know, she used yardsticks and switches and everything she could get her hand on me. But no, my dad, he'd tell her what I'd done, you know. But I don't ever remember getting a licking from him. Maybe get bawled out, but she was, oh gosh, yes, yeah, she beat me up.
See, you'll never have that memory, will you?
Your mother wasn't the one, huh? No, my dad, because he wasn't home too, you know. And it would be tough for him to come home and discipline me for something I'd done on Monday, and this is Thursday or Friday, you know. And but they would talk it over, and the trips to the Gary home and all that stuff, that would happen, and you know, they shook me up, but.
It really happened, huh?
It really did happen, yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, it did. Them are true stories. Yeah. One more screw up, and this is where you're going to end up. And, and we'd ride out there and come on home. So, yeah, they wanted a perfect kid, but they didn't, I guess, think they had one. So that was what happened. One of the vivid things about the Depression I remember is Dad went down to Grizzle, had the meat market then. I can't think of his first name. And Dad came home with Hamburg wrapped in just a piece of cellophane, you know, or plastic. And Mother says, "What in the world?" Carrying his hand. He says the constable or what have you had come and taken his paper away because he couldn't pay his bills. So he didn't have no paper to put the meat in. So when you got the meat, you got it literally in your bare hands to take it home. The poor guy wasn't able to pay his bills. That was our meat man.
Yeah.
Rachel was the boss in the family. And when we went to look at houses, we probably looked at 10 houses, and she'd find something wrong with every house. And your mother and I would come back into our little room down there in Sturd Street, and Gladys would be upset. And, well, I would be too. I said, what in the world, you know, you can't find anything that pleases her. And we had to please her because we had to get money. Mm-hmm. See, so we didn't have much say in this thing. Well, then this house came up in Allen Park, and we came up here and looked at this. And we met afterwards, you know, we get together over Mother's or how we did this each time. And she said, "I think that's a good house for you." Man, your mother was ecstatic, and because this is the one that she really wanted anyway. And Mother said, "Okay." So they lent us the money, and we bought the house. And we needed it because Gladys was pregnant. And the day we signed the papers up at Kenny Johnson's office, your mother period came around because she was all whacked up because of giving birth to you, and her cycles would be way out of whack, and this time had gone longer, and we just knew she was pregnant, and that's why we had to buy this house. And the Saturday that we did, and we did not have to buy the house, but we had the house, so it worked out. And it was within a few months later she was pregnant with Randy, so it worked out. It was a good ride, you know. We've had a lot of fun, and of course, you know, then raising your family, that was special because you kids that put a dimension into our lives as well as your grandparents, and it was especially my side of the family because C.S. and them had grandkids, and they were older, and he was failing health. You never knew him as a healthy man at all, and but Otto and them were in prime shape, and there was nobody, you know, you talked to Don Van Stee and all these, and Chuck Gustafson and that's all Otto could talk about with his grandkids. You know, I mean, they were just they're perfect kids, and you know, he idolized you kids, and they could never spend enough time. In fact, they didn't do much traveling. They went to Florida once a year, but they were basically home, and were you know, you spent they babysat a lot, and of course we used other babysitters too in the relation, Rose, and you remember that, all that stuff we did. You know, everybody was willing to take care of you kids, and so it was good, and that was.
We were the greatest.
Well, they were
fall asleep, and I'd be watching the boxing matches.
They were, yeah, that's right. They were more spoiled than I ever was. I'll tell you that. Otto, he especially.
Well,
and Grandma, of course, and then when Becky came along and had a little girl too, that was a special time in her life because that's just a natural phenomenon. You know, you have a couple boys and they're wonderful and all that stuff. There's no question about that. But the girl, that kind of finished the whole idea of the family, and that was it. We didn't have any more after that. So.
Was that by design? I should ask. That's a
Well,
question.
your mother's. I very frankly, I wanted more kids. I did, but your mother, no, she didn't want any more, and so that's the way it was. And, today, I don't know I don't know if she regrets it or not. To be honest with you, I don't know. But maybe we got to find family. I mean, I don't think we need it anymore. But I was. In fact, when we got married, we were going to have. I don't know. 5, 6 kids or whatever it was. You know, we were going to have a big family, but we didn't. I don't know. Your mom, she had, well, I don't know. Your birth was tough. Randy's was a piece of cake for her. That just boom. But then Becky's was tough too. So she had 2 tough births. And of course, with you, she got knocked out. So then, really, probably the toughest one was Becky, because she did that natural, more or less, you know. And so that might have had some kind of a feeling for the thing. I mean, that was, she's awake and did a lot of pain and so forth in delivering Becky. So that might have kind of put a damper on any more. I don't know. But she don't have any more children. You can't live in the past, like they say, but you can visit it, but you can't live in it. You know, you've heard that story.
Real fumble.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's dangerous, but you'd reminisce about it.